Hi guys, and welcome to my to yet another tutorial video. And this one is gonna be like a mega tutorial video because I've got a whole bunch of IEMs that I've modified, and I just want to share my findings with you. And before I start, however, I just want to say the following: I modify my IEMs for no other reason than to better suit them to my personal taste, to my music that I listen to. This is in no means an attempt to disrespect or to bring down what has been done by whichever company I've been modifying the IEM from. There are tunings that you like, there are tunings that you don't like, and that's basically it. I mean, I'm not here trying to bring down anybody or you know, I'm just trying to make whatever IEMs I have, be it these CVJs or be it the multiple KZs that I have in front of me, or Tanströms or Tanyas, or Olas and Wizards and whatever. I'm just wanting to adapt them better to my personal taste. Anyway, let's begin this so that we get it over and done with nice and quick. The graph that you see right in front of you is the graph of the CVJ CS8. What is the CVJ CS8? Well, the CVJ CS8 is this IEM here. Okay, see if I can show it to you nicely. Okay, it's an IEM which was kind of, I would say, almost type of a flagship for them a few years ago. It's a 1+3 hybrid, decent quality of construction, decent shell, decent fit. I mean, it was a very typical IEM for its age in terms or for its time in terms of its overall appearance and what was being attempted. It's as you can see, kind of a brightish signature. The bass has been very well done. I mean, if there's one thing that has to be given merit to the CS8 is that the bass is extremely well done. No bleed into the mids. Really nice done. Then where things then start going a little bit south, and you know, and it's a pity. So see if I can find here a pointer. Is actually I can go, yeah, is with regards to the pinna gain, which is ridiculous. We're talking about a pinna gain of around 13-14 dBs, and then you have this peak again here at 5, and the conjunction of these two things here make for a very bright sounding, very forward sounding IEM, which some might like it, others don't. However, I was one of those that did like the CS8 enough to say that it's was worthwhile trying to modify it and bringing a bit of extra performance out of it. So what did I do to it? I basically did what you see now in this red line. And what is this red line? Well, very simple. That extra bass energy that you see there was obtained by, on the front nozzle. Let's see if I can zoom this. Other way around. There we go. On the front nozzle, as you can see there, okay, you basically put a Y4 grade filter on there. So simple, easy, not complicated to do. Okay, and then on the actual nozzle of the IEM, okay, the actual nozzle of the IEM, again, on the actual nozzle, you put a Tanström Tanya filter. Two very simple things to do, easily undone if you want to. And what basically this does is, first of all, it brings down this window of operation of the IEM to a more narrower window of around 10 dBs. Okay, everything now stays within about 10 dBs. Only that slight little peak there at 5 still exceeds that 10 dB window, or banner if you want to call it that way. Yes, I might have spoiled slightly the bass performance, but this extra here has given me a means to actually tolerate that brightness that you have up top. I'm actually working now on another version where I have brought this down slightly, and I'm now working on getting an in-between bass curve of the two. So kind of trying to keep things still even more linear, and obviously improve the overall sound. As it is in this current format, Let me just take away that. So as it is in this current format, it's way more pleasurable to listen to. It's fuller. The extra bass energy that we have has given the female voices the needed warmth and energy that it was lacking. Instruments as well, so timbre and tonality overall sound more correct for me and for my personal music tastes. Okay, and I think it's a mod that really is simple and makes sense. It's a mod that really definitely makes sense. Okay, that's it. That's the first one done. Second one I'm going to be talking about, and this is it's a simple one, so got to get this one out of the way straight away, is an IM which has been, you know, the reason for a lot of controversy lately, which is this baby here, the DQ6s and the DQ6. Okay, DQ6s, a collaboration with HBB, DQ6s, the DQ6, just the standard KZ version. Basically, the DQ6s, what it has tried to do over the standard one is bring down that energy that was present in the DQ6 over here and make it more bearable, more easy to listen to, and also increase the bass slightly. Okay, what have I done to my particular DQ6s and this one that I have here? Okay, it actually has the 6mm drivers removed. They're not there anymore, but I actually did it on, I tried the mod first with the 6mm drivers, graphed it, and then took the drivers out and graphed it again. It was the same. So the 6mm drivers, as has been known now for a while, are not doing anything. The intention, I'm sure, wasn't that, but they are not doing anything. Well, in this particular set, not only were they short-circuited in terms of their physical electrical connection, but physically as well, the nozzle which connects them to the outside wasn't even, it was blocked, so but they weren't doing anything. So what have I basically been able to do? Very simple. By adding just a 400 grade filter to the nozzle, I've flattened out the area above 1K slightly, made it more linear, less ups and downs. Sorry, so less ups and downs by adding the 400 grade filter on the nozzle, and it just makes the sound just that little extra bit more smoother, in my opinion. It just, if the DQ6s already was an improvement over the DQ6 in terms of it not being as forward and smoother and easier to listen to, this one is, for me at least, an improvement even over that. Okay, the rest maintains itself basically the same, so no real need for any additional talk there. So easy mod, DQ6s, just plonk a 400 grade filter on the nozzle, take out the standard one, put a 400 grade, and this is what you'll get. Okay, again, I think it's a mod that it's worthwhile doing. You will not regret it. Okay, the next one is an oldie but goldie, which is the CCA C10. Okay, it's an IM that has a brother in the form of this ZS10Pro, and the difference basically between these two IMs, although they share the same basic configuration of 1+4, is that the C10, okay, has a plastic nozzle. So the shell basically is the continuation of the nozzle. Zoom, there we go. Okay, and there's two BAs on the nozzle. There we go. See, two BAs there. Okay, they're using 30095s and 50060s, and there's one of each here, one of each inside the shell, and then the 10mm dynamic driver. The ZS10 Pro has only one BA on the nozzle, and I'll show it to you, and it has a metal nozzle, as you can see, and there's just one BA inside there. See if I can maybe, it's not going to be easy. Not going to be easy. You're not going to be easy to see. No. Okay, trust me, there's just one BA there. Okay, so what have I done to these two IEMs, because it makes sense talking about them both at the same time. I basically, and this is something that you don't really have to do in terms of the bass, because the bass performance is fine, although I did it. Okay, let me talk here. C10 first. So C10, what did I do? I took the C10 and there. Okay, that's the C10 standard graph. So what did I do on the C10? I put on a tangent filter, as you guys were almost already expected, and a Y2 filter, just to get a little extra boost of the bass there. Not needed. This you can actually forget about. What is needed and does make a difference is that tangent filter. By just bringing down that whole pinna gain, initial pinna gain, it just makes the overall sound way nicer. It just sounds nicer. It's not a bad IEM from the get-go. But be it the C10, be it the ZS10Pro, be it the CS8, they all have that typical BA timbre, metallicness to the sound. And the tangent filter, and obviously more factors, but the tangent filter above all, it just tames that metallic sound, and it just makes for a way nicer, much more pleasurable listen. Okay, so you have that taming of that initial pinna gain, the timbre and the tonality of the BAs change because of that filter as well, and you go, okay, fair enough, you have that extra energy up top there. What about the ZS10Pro? ZS10, one second, I'll show it to you now. ZS10 is over here, I believe. Exactly. Okay, that's the standard ZS10, which compared to the standard C10, you can see they're almost very similar. The differences that exist are down to the fact of the one or two BAs basically and where they are located. Funny enough, the fact that there's one BA only on the nozzle makes for a more peaky overall presentation of the ZS10. I don't know why that is. The C10, as you can see, is actually smoother, although it has two BAs in the nozzle. And I guess this was two attempts of KZ to take the same formula and just adjust it. But anyway, this is the C10 modified, and I'm now going to put the ZS10 modified, which is over here. Okay, again, I did basically the same thing. I added the Y2 filter on the front vent. Not needed. I mean, you can see it here. Really, you can not do that mod if you want. It's not a necessity. There's plenty bass there. What I did do differently was on the actual nozzle, where on the C10 I used the tangent filter. Over here, what I did was, sorry, one second, was, sorry guys, this thing is not helping me. Okay, what I did on the ZS10Pro was I added a 200 grade filter and a medium density foam. And the medium density foam, actually you are able to put it in there because there's space. Since there's only one BA, you have a space around it to actually put that foam. And by introducing that foam, it actually tames down the other three BAs internally. Okay, as you can see, it tames them down. Let me just quickly show you the stock one so you can again see what I'm talking about. Stock ZS10, the blue line is the modified ZS10, and it tames those internal BAs dramatically, as you can see. Okay, dramatically. And as compared to the C10, which is this one here, the modified C10, we end up with a signature which is very similar, very similar. So the C10 is the top line, the ZS10 modified is the bottom line, very similar. And again, very nice, very easy listen, loads of bass. You don't have to put the Y2 filter on either the ZS10 or the C10 if you don't want to. The bass difference will come down, you know, a little bit. And it just makes for a nicer sounding IM, period. It's a nice, easy mod. I think a mod that's worthwhile doing, and one that I definitely recommend. Okay, and in a second year I'll show it to you compared to some of the more recent offerings, and you'll be quite surprised. Okay, let me actually, you know what, let me just show you as compared to the DQ6s standard DQ6s. This is the standard DQ6s, the red line, as you can see, okay, compared to the modified C10 and the modified ZS10. All right, and as you can see, there's a lot of similarities. So you can basically take a ZS10Pro, modify it, and end up with a sound which is very similar to a stock DQ6s, and this is my modified DQ6s. Okay, take that away there, and again, I'll actually just take away the C10. So we just compare the ZS10Pro with the DQ6s modified. Both of these IEMs are modified, and as you can see, they're pretty close. They're pretty close in terms of graphical representation. In terms of sound, you do feel that the ZS10 Pro has got this fuller bass to it. It's more, it's warmer. Okay, the DQ6s being a newer generation DD driver, the bass is got more impact to it. But overall, the differences are not as huge or as dramatic as you would think. And as you can see, they actually sound very similar. Trust me, they actually sound very similar. So that's that. Okay, I'm actually going to put here as well, just for another comparison, so you guys can see, which is okay, so this is a stock CCA CRA. Okay, and let me just take away the ZS. Okay, the blue line is a stock CCA CRA, which is an IM which has gotten a lot of traction, a lot of hype about it lately. And as you can see, what I've done with my modified DQ6s, that's the stock, taken away, stock DQ6s, taken away, the line that's left behind there in orange is the modified, is I've basically created a CRA with a tamer 5K peak and a little bit less energy up top, but this you don't really perceive it. What you do perceive is this less 5K, which makes it for being way less fatiguing, because it can be fatiguing for some people. I personally don't find it an issue, but some people did find it fatiguing. So there you go, a modified DQ6s by me will basically be a stock CCA CRA with this area of the 5K brought down slightly, which was a reason for complaint by some people, and that's it. Talking about the CRA, I just want to show you what I did to the CRA as well, which is this graph here, which doesn't look like a big difference, and yeah, fair enough. And what I basically did was I poked the stock filter, front vent filter, I poked it out, and I introduced a Y2 filter, so it brought down the bass slightly here, as you can see. And then on the nozzle, I removed the filter that's on the nozzle and put in some medium density foam, and that's basically what I came out with. It tamed the 8K peak, it tamed a little bit more the higher up frequencies, and although the 5K wasn't touched, the overall of all of this is a perceived less forwardness in the female vocals, a perceived less metallic zing to some instruments as well, guitars and so on and so forth. So overall, decent enough. And the last one that I want to just quickly share with you is the CCA NRA or KZZX, which again is an IM that was some controversy involved around it. And this is what it is in stock format, okay? And this is my modified one, okay? This is the most complex of all of these mods out of all of these IEMs. All of these IEMs basically just entail putting a vent filter, or or changing the nozzle filter, and that's it. On the CRA, you have to be a little bit more capable, let's put it that way, because it involves actually opening up the IEM, okay, to be able to change the signature to what you see. So you have to remove the faceplate, which isn't difficult to do, mind you. It's just a question of putting a cutting knife or blade in between the faceplate and the shell, and just prying it a little bit, and it comes out quite easily. It didn't even damage either one. It's very easily done. Seriously, it's not a, there we go, just easy to come out. And once you remove it, the first thing you will see right underneath the CCA logo there is the back of the 10mm driver. And what you do, oops, sorry guys. And what you do to that 10mm driver is you put a Y4 filter on it. Simple, again, nothing too complicated about that. So you put a Y4 filter on there. You put, oops, my apologies. You put a Y4 filter on there, on the back of the driver, and if you look carefully, let me see if I can show it to you. When you look at the drive, where is it? There we go. Okay. So if you look very carefully, when you open up the shell, you can see that there's no front vent. Okay, why? Because the front vent is actually internal. And when you open up the shell, when you take away the faceplate and you open up the shell, you will notice that you see that little white thing that you can, very difficult to see, but anyway, to the right side of the actual plug, you will see there's like a white filter inside there. Okay, that's the front nozzle filter. And what you do is you again put a Y4 filter on there. So by putting a Y4 filter on that front nozzle, which is internal in the case of the NRA, and by putting a Y4 filter on the back of the actual 10mm dynamic driver, you change this whole section here. So instead of having this bump in the mid bass, it now becomes, it kind of glides a little bit more. You give it some serious sub bass, as you can see. And then on the nozzle, I've used a 400 grade filter to tame these ups and downs and valleys and so on and so forth. And some of you might be saying, oh, but you've messed things up, it's now all messed up and this and that and blah blah blah. Okay, fine, I respect that. Well, let me just show you. That's my modified NRA next to my modified DQ6s. And let me tell you something, they are identical. My modified DQ6s and the modified NRA, they sound 99% the same. Okay, that this is the stock DQ6s. Okay, stock DQ6s. It's got a little bit less energy than my modified one. My modified one basically matches everything. They just almost become identical. And again, as a terms of comparison, this is the CCA CRA stock. Again, almost identical. And if you actually look very carefully, especially at this area here, okay, above 3K, what basically has happened is the CCA is the one that has the biggest peak, let's put it that way, at around the 5K area, where a lot of the sibilance and so on and so forth happens. it's got this all this energy here. The modified DQ6s that I done basically improves that peakness that you have there, brings down a little bit that energy. Well, brings it down. That energy didn't exist anyway from the get-go. It didn't really change anything here, and it just makes it tamer, just nicer, just smoother to listen to. And the NRA modified by me is kind of an in between the two. Okay, so it very much matches the DQ6, as you can see, the DQ6s, sorry, as you can see, very similar, very equal, you know, above 10k, very similar. They sound, like I said, 99% the same, and again improves upon that excessive energy that you have on the well, excessive energy for some on the CRA at 5k, the sibilance area, and so on and so forth. And well, it's I think it talks for itself. There's no reason for me to. It's an elaborate mod to do on the NRA. I'm not going to deny, but I think it's a worthwhile mod, and a mod that I think makes sense. Just to clarify one thing, the Magnastat does work, although it works at such a low level compared to the dynamic driver that being there or being disconnected, which I've left disconnected, it doesn't change anything here. It doesn't. I measured it several times before modding it, connected, disconnected, and it was the same, exactly the same. I couldn't hear any difference. And modified, again, it was the same. So both my DQ6s and my NRA have their additional drivers disconnected or removed. There's nothing there, so they're all single EDs. And that's it, guys. Any questions that you guys might have, please feel free to ask. I just thought it would be interesting to share this with you. Yeah, let me just, one last thing here, which I wanted to actually show you with regards to the ZS10 modified. There we go, ZS10. Look at that, huh? ZS10 as well. ZS10 is very reminiscent of DQ6s. So, okay, CCA NRA, stock CCA CRA, and hey, might as well put the C10 as well here. C10. Look at that. They're all kind of same, more or less same formula, give or take. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this little take of mine. Any questions, please feel free to ask. And like I said, any one of these IMs I think are deserving of being modified. They really are worthwhile. And that's why I actually took the time to do this. All right. Anyway, take care. Bye-bye. See you.